They have no wine. I've been a priest almost 39 years. That means a lot of weddings. I think I'm probably near 500 over those years of having the privilege to participate in that joyous event in a couple's life, in the life of a family. And as many of you know, from your own wedding perhaps, there are things that can go wrong in a wedding. I remember one wedding, we were 7 minutes before the wedding was to begin. And I asked for the rings. And the groom got these big eyes and a scared look on his face, and he said, "The rings!" They were about a half an hour away. And the guy came back in a half an hour. And I said, "That's impossible." He was in the Navy. He had the Navy's uniform on. He said, "I went above the speed limit." And the policeman was very kind who stopped me. Another one, and these next two, they're public about them. So I feel free to share them. One was, I got to the rehearsal night. This is Friday night. All the government offices are closed for the weekend. And I asked them for the license. And they said, "Well, we thought you were getting that." I can't marry anybody without a license. It's a long story about how we figured that out. The third one that I think of now is a great guy. He really built his own house. He had that kind of skill in woodworking and all the other aspects you'd have to build a house. He was a very humble guy, but he was very, very nervous. So at the time of the rings, instead of pledging his fidelity when he gave her the ring, it just came out. He said, "I pledge my wait a minute, hold on. I pledge my fertility." It took a couple minutes to calm everybody down after that. They're married 35 years. They got 2 beautiful kids. So they have no wine. We're hearing about the most famous wedding where something went wrong. So what does that mean? You know, wine permeates all the scriptures. You know, they used wine all the time. They had all their meals. We talk about Jesus' stories. He's talking about the vineyards a lot. He says, "I am the vine, you are the branches." There's all these allusions to grapes and wine. And of course, at the Last Supper, he took wine and he transformed it into his blood. And then at the Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit came upon these frightened apostles, they went out boldly preaching. Some people said they're full of new wine. So you see that idea of wine going all the way through the scriptures. There's a rabbinic saying that goes like this: "Without wine, there is no joy in life." So you know what scholars have said? That probably for John, the gospel writer, this was not a throwaway story. Because Jesus says, "It's not my time yet." This is not like, "Hey, let me tell you a story." This was put there on purpose. It's the first of his 7 signs in the Gospel of John. It has huge meaning. When Mary says to Jesus, "They have no wine," what she's really saying is, they have no joy. They have no life. Because at the end of John's Gospel, there's 2 spots. One, he says to them, "I have come so that you may have life and have it abundantly." So all of John's Gospel is how Jesus is coming to help us live to our fullest. And then he also says in chapter 15, before he dies, he tells them, "I'm telling you all of this so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete." So you see, when this is happening in this wedding, it's about all these things that are going to happen. So I thought of this, a way to pray. for all of us this week. I plan to do this too. There's 6 ablution jars there filled with water. They're filled to the brim. Now these jars are 20 or 30 gallons, so they're like this high. And they probably have an artistic shape. It's not like a drum. It's got some artistic shape. Filled with water. So I thought of this. What if every day this week, starting tomorrow, ending on Saturday, we took our lives and considered each one of those jars of water as a period of your life? In other words, however old you are, divide by 6. And then you've got the number of periods to reflect on for each day. So if I'm around 42, I'm going to take my first 7 years tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, I'll take from 14 to 21, and so on. If you're 12, you're going to have divided by 6, right? That means you're going to go your first 2 years, and then 3 years and 4 years old. You might have to talk to your parents about those early ones. And 2 at a time. And take that period, and just, when you get up in the morning, start thinking about the memories from that first period. When you're 1 year old to whatever that end of your period is there. It's that section. And when you're driving, maybe you think about a few more memories. Here's the question. Where in that period did Jesus turn water into wine in your life? Where did you taste the best wine? Now we might say, well, I didn't come to be religious till I'm 28. So why think about those early years? Don't pass this up. I find that when people pray this way, they remember things they never thought of before. They see them in a way they never thought of before. In other words, they discover wine, the quality of God's grace in their life that they didn't see until they did it this week. And then I go on till the end, to that last section on Saturday. Now let me give you 2 examples. You might be thinking, what does that mean? Where Jesus turned water into wine in my life. Because what he's doing there is he's transforming the water into wine in the wedding. And that's what he does in our lives. That's why he came. He wants to transform our heart. He wants to transform the way we see things. He wants to transform our whole being so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete. So here's my 2 examples. One is dramatic, and one is more everyday-like, I think. So here's the dramatic one. I had a priest friend of mine who told me this story. It happened to him. He went into a hospital room, and you never know what's going to happen when you walk into a hospital room. So he walks in, he's got his collar on. There's a man in the bed, obviously his wife and his son. And as soon as he sees my friend as a priest, he yells out to him, "Get out. I don't believe in God. Go away." Now my friend has got a stubborn streak. So he doesn't go away. He goes into the corner of the room and he sits down. And they continue to talk. Then all of a sudden the man recognizes he's still in the room. "Didn't I tell you to leave?" And my friend said this, "You did, but I didn't." That's just the way he was. He said, "Well, why are you still here?" "I'm dying of cancer." "Where is God?" And as that man said that, my friend began to walk slowly towards the bed. And he said to him, "He's right here. He's very near to you right now." And something happened. They started talking about confession. And then the man asked his wife and his son to go outside, and he talked to the priest privately. And when they came back, they had the most profound conversations between husband and wife, between father and son. That family was so thankful for what happened there, because that was a moment of water turning into wine. They experienced the presence of God in that moment, a transforming presence. So that's a dramatic one. And they happen. Well, I think as we as priests, you experience them in your own lives. Once in a while, they're there. Here's the everyday one. I used to be over at St. Lawrence a few years ago, and we were having confessions for the school kids. So 6th graders, so they were in the church, and I was explaining to them, reminding them about how to go to confession, telling them about the form, the act of contrition. Then I shared with them who's going to be hearing confessions. So I said, I'll be there. Father Chuck, the assistant, will be here. And then I said, Father Rock will be here. They went wild. They were cheering. One kid in the back, he's even doing a fist pump. Those of you who are 12 years old, this might be one of your examples, something like this. Now, why were they like that? What? I never heard people cheering to go to confession. Father Rock was a Franciscan. He used to help us out. He was retired. He never wore shoes when he said Mass. He had socks on, but no shoes. The legend in the parish is that a homeless man once came to him and said, Father, I need some shoes. And Father gave him his shoes. And ever since that time, he doesn't wear shoes going to Mass. I've never been able to confirm that, but that's the legend. He gave great homilies. He even sang in his homilies sometimes. So he died a few years ago on Christmas Day. And afterwards, I was with the kids because they were obviously grieving. And I said to these kids, I asked them, what did you see in Father Rock that you liked so much? And they said, oh, he was so kind. If you needed something, he would stop, sit down, and just spend time with you. I think those kids saw Jesus in Father Rock. And every time that happened, like when they went to confession, it was water being changed into wine. So what if we did this these next 6 days? Take those parts of your life, those 6 parts. Just think about them. Where did something special happen? Where was Jesus turning water into wine in my life? Just think about this. This just like the chief steward. All over the parish this weekend, we will be tasting best wines. And we will be giving thanks, maybe for new wines discovered, and for greater appreciation.